So, as everyone knows, as Daron just highlighted once again, Adi Negev Nachalat Iran is, in literal translation, the jewel of the Negev, Iran's legacy. Because of Daron's love for Iran, we have this beautiful, sprawling 40-acre campus in the upper Negev that cares for 170 residents with severe disabilities. 190 additional special education students come each and every day to take advantage of our incredible resources. We have 70 plus rehabilitation inpatients at our hospital. We have 50,000 plus outpatient rehabilitation treatments every single year. We have 36 special needs gardeners. The list goes on and on and on. I like to refer to Adi Negev Nachalat Iran as the real happiest place on earth. And as you can see from some of the pictures here, it is always teeming with life. And the true beauty behind Adi Negev Nachalat Iran is not just the big spaces, the sprawling 40-acre campus. It's the people of all ages and backgrounds and religions and languages and levels of ability, all coming together to lift each other up. These are some pictures from happier times. And these are some pictures from now. This is the reality. Our special education school is closed. Our special needs gardeners are not able to work the land in our organic farm. No one's coming for therapies at our therapeutic horse farm and therapeutic petting zoo. Our accessible playground, which is usually full of screams of laughter, there's just nothing going on. Because as of October 7th, a new reality has come to Adi Negev Nachalat Iran. First and foremost, obviously, we are operating from our enclosed protected spaces. As you can see, everyone from our babies in our intensive care unit, all the way up to our residents and our rehabilitative patients. Everyone is in their protected wards, in their protected bunkers, and the large majority of activities happen there. There are so many amazing, beautiful JNF-USA shelters all throughout the Negev. At Adi Negev Nachalat Iran, whereas our friends in, let's say, Sderot have 10 to 15 seconds to get to where they need to be in the case of a siren, at Adi Negev Nachalat Iran, we have 0 seconds because we're dealing with the most vulnerable members of Israeli society. They use walkers, they use wheelchairs, they're in beds, whatever it might be, we have to be operating from there already. So already, starting from the first siren on October 7th, we were operating from our closed spaces. Later in the day on October 7th, we had a battalion of soldiers come to take care of us. They've been there the entire time. At first, it was just a couple dozen. I heard from Avi Vortzman, the CEO of Adi Negev Nachalat Iran, earlier today when I was taking a tour of the village, that there are 400 soldiers, some of them you cannot see, in and around our 40-acre campus, because we are at the epicenter of what you want to call in the line of fire. While we were there today, I heard some very scary big booms. The war is still going on, but as Daron says, we will win it because we have humanity on our side. Right now at the rehabilitation hospital, we have our amazing staff and incredible volunteers coming to make sure that the rehabilitation treatments still go on as much possible as planned. Though we can't use certain buildings because they're too far away from shelters, anything we can do in the hospital proper, we try to make sure that still happens. We still, again, try to make sure that our philosophy of not having people in beds, languishing in beds, but being out, being social, still continues. And the same continues with our residents. Our 170 residents, some people ask, well, if you saw that there was a situation, why weren't the residents relocated just like many of the other people in the area? And the answer is because this is their home. We can't move them. They rely on Adi Negev Nachalat Iran. They rely on the support of JNF-USA to make sure that this stays their home and the home that can give them everything that they need. So we had to make sure that we could keep them there. Immediately following this past Shabbat, the very first email that I received was from Russell with this Jerusalem Post article that you see on the screen. Now, we knew that we needed to build the Elie Rehabilitation Medical Center at Adi Negev, Nachalat Iran, because until we got involved, until we opened this hospital, there were only 850 rehabilitation hospital beds in the entire country, and none of them were in southern Israel. That is not something that is sustainable, especially because there are 9.7 million people in the country. And I always, on tours, would say something like, what if there was a massive crisis? What would happen? Well, unfortunately, we're in that massive crisis. And this is exactly what is happening, is we have a bed crisis. There's 4,500 people who are injured thus far in this war. Hundreds of brand new amputees. So many of them are from southern Israel. They're having to go all the way up away from their families to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Herzliya, Haifa, but those hospitals can't even provide the large majority of them the care that they need. Not only are they away from home, but they're also in a place that can't even provide them with the care that they need. Luckily, we partnered with JNF-USA to build the Elie Rehabilitation Medical Center, again, the first and only rehabilitation hospital in Israel South. So here are the realities of what we're dealing with right now at Adi Negev, Nachalat Iran. First and foremost, and this happened from the very first second of the attacks on October 7th. So many of our staff were home on October 7th because it was Shabbat, and it was also Simchat Torah. They had arranged their shifts so they could be home with their family. What that meant is that many of our Adi Negev families suffered a lot of loss. We have several of our staff members who were killed, were murdered by Hamas terrorists. Many others suffered multiple tragedies with almost their entire families being killed. Others lost their homes, whether they were firebombed or destroyed in other ways. Yet others were relocated, and yet others are tethered to their homes because they have elderly parents or they have children who have no kind of framework in wartime. So we immediately had a staffing problem. The staff that we do have coming to the village, which is about 150 less, there's about 700 staff who work in the Adi Negev Nachalat Iran Rehabilitation Village. More than 150 of them are either elsewhere, unaccounted for, were murdered, or who have family members who are murdered, and we can't count on them. So that means that all the remaining staff members are working overtime, are working double shifts, are going above and beyond the call of duty. So our first responsibility is to make sure that we care for them. We've been getting them bereavement packages, going to the Shiva houses, and making sure that everyone who is there understands that they are truly the first line of defense in this war. They are making sure that the most vulnerable members of society are taken care of, and those who need to be healed are healed in this time of great pain. We have our soldiers still standing guard, but that is not at all sustainable. We really dodged a bullet. The main road that runs by Adi Negev, Nachalat Iran, and goes to Ofakim, that was the main road that the parade of violent Hamas terrorists took on the morning of October 7th. For whatever reason, earlier on their route down this same road, they killed several soldiers at an army base, skipped us, then went into Ofakim and killed more people there. But they skipped us. It's an open miracle, because had they come in, we would have been totally unprepared, and horrible, horrible things could have happened. We need to make sure that that never happens again. So we are upgrading our security, and we're working on developing a tactical emergency force. The soldiers can't be there forever. We need to have our own protection and our own tightened security. You can see at the bottom left of the screen what we're doing right now. Our main focus at this moment in time is we are opening an emergency trauma ward. In the hospital itself, we have 72 beds, right? There's a neurological ward that was complete, and an orthopedic rehabilitation ward that was also completed, 36 beds each for a total of 72. We can extend it to a total of 83. But what we really need right now is to make sure that all of the soldiers and all of the violently harmed victims of Hamas terror in southern Israel don't have to travel up to Jerusalem and northern to find out that there are no beds for them. We need to keep them close to home. We need to make sure that they receive the care that they deserve. So right now we are opening this emergency ward in what was the beta version building of the hospital. And simultaneously, we are trying to work with JNF-USA to build the third ward, as Daron said. We have that third ward, you can see in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. It was in the middle of construction. We were hoping that it would be completed by the end of this coming winter, and now everything has stopped because the large majority of our labor, like most construction projects here in Israel, was Arab labor. We need to find a different solution. We're going to find labor from elsewhere in Asia. We're going to bring them. And with your help, with the help of JNF-USA, we're going to complete this ward because this is what is needed now. There are so many people who are hurting, and we need to provide them with the proper medical, rehabilitative, and psychological, emotional care. We need to rebuild. As Daron says, we need to come back stronger. We can only do that. We can only make sure that families feel comfortable coming back, living in the South, helping the South thrive by making sure that we complete this hospital, that it's always been what it's supposed to be, which is a social center and a center of healing, and making sure that everyone understands that humanity is going to win this thing. We just want to make sure that we provide all of those resources. And again, with your help, we're going to make that happen. Right now, we're operating the emergency ward, and with your help, in just a few months' time, we believe we can get that third and final ward up and running and help heal southern Israelis.